Long ago, in a small valley surrounded by tall silver mountains, there lived a little girl named Nima. Nima was no ordinary child. She had the brightest green eyes anyone had ever seen, and her laughter echoed like little bells across the valley. She lived with her grandmother, Amira, in a tiny wooden house painted blue. Nima's family was very poor. They had no fields of their own, only a small garden with a few herbs and flowers that Amira grew to trade in the village market. But despite their poverty, Amira always told Nima, "Riches are not in gold or silver, child, but in the heart that learns to share." Nima loved her grandmother's words. But being young, she sometimes wished for more toys, more food, more clothes like the other children in the village had. She often found herself staring at the grand house of Reuven, the richest merchant in the valley. His children wore clothes stitched from the finest silks, while Nima had only one faded dress. One day, while playing near the river, Nima found something unusual. Among the pebbles lay a small spool of golden thread, shining in the sunlight. She picked it up carefully and ran to show Amira. "A golden thread?" Amira said, her eyes widening. "This is no ordinary thread, Nima. Legends say such threads belong to the weaver of wishes, a spirit who spins magic into the world. Use it carefully, for it may change your life." Nima held the thread tightly. That night, she whispered, "I wish for a beautiful dress, just like the merchant's children wear." To her surprise, when she woke up, a shimmering dress of silk lay beside her bed, stitched from the golden thread itself. Her joy knew no bounds. She twirled and danced, and when she went to the market, everyone admired her. But Amira looked worried. "Remember, child, every gift has a weight. Do not let greed control your heart." Days passed, and Nima could not resist. Each night she made another wish: a pair of golden shoes, a basket full of fruits and sweets, a doll with a porcelain face. Each morning the golden thread shortened, but Nima hardly noticed. One afternoon, while walking to the river again, Nima saw a beggar boy named Elon. His clothes were torn, and his hands shook from hunger. He asked softly, "Do you have a piece of bread?" Nima clutched her basket of fruits. For a moment, Amira's words echoed in her heart, but she thought of her treasures and said quickly, "I have nothing to give," then hurried away. That night, she dreamed of the weaver of wishes. The spirit appeared as a tall woman with silver hair that flowed like waterfalls. She said, "Nima, the thread I gave you holds power, but it was meant for kindness, not greed. Each time you take and do not give, the thread weakens. If you do not learn, you may lose everything." Nima woke up frightened, but when she looked at her dress and shoes, her fear faded. Perhaps it was just a dream, she thought. Weeks turned into months. Nima's house now sparkled with riches made from the thread. Yet the spool was almost empty. One evening, a great storm swept through the valley. The river swelled, and many homes were destroyed. Villagers ran for shelter, crying out for help. Even the merchant Reuven's house collapsed under the fierce winds. Elon, the beggar boy, had nowhere to go. He stood outside Nima's glowing house, shivering. "Please, Nima," he called, "can you shelter me for the night?" Nima hesitated. She looked at her golden possessions, afraid to share them. But then she saw Amira, who had already opened the door. "Come in, child," Amira said gently to Elon. Inside, as the storm raged, Nima felt uneasy. She saw the fear in Elon's eyes, the warmth in Amira's arms, and suddenly the riches around her seemed meaningless. She pulled out her last piece of golden thread and whispered, "I wish for the villagers' homes to be safe again." The spool glowed one final time, unraveling completely. The storm ceased. The villagers stepped out of their ruined homes, and to their amazement, the houses were magically rebuilt, stronger than before. But when Nima looked around, all her treasures had vanished. The silk dress, the shoes, the fruits, everything. All that remained was her simple faded dress and the love in her grandmother's smile. At first, Nima felt tears prick her eyes. She had lost everything she thought she wanted. But then she saw the villagers, smiling and grateful. She saw Elon laughing for the first time. She realized she had given them something far more valuable than silks or gold. The next day, the villagers gathered and said, "Nima, you have given us a gift greater than any riches. From now on, we will share what we have with you and Amira, so you will never go hungry or cold again." From that day, Nima no longer wished for golden things. She learned that kindness spun the brightest threads, stronger than any magic. The valley flourished not because of gold, but because its people began to share and care for one another. And whenever Nima looked at the river, she thought she saw a shimmer of silver hair in the waves, the weaver of wishes, smiling at her.